Can you hear me okay?
You sound great, buddy.
Okay, you did a great job. Appreciate the introduction. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the screen share right here, and I'll just get going. So thanks for having me. I would like to agree that Marissa's doing a great job. So in any case, let me go ahead and get started. Rob or Marissa, either one will work. Can you see Candle Profit Strategies?
Yep, Candle Profit Strategies for 2020. Looks great.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, well then let's get rolling. Just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Jeff Gibby. I've been working for MetaStock for 23 years this year, and it's a great company to work for. When I started in inside sales, and it's a job I've absolutely loved. I've helped a lot of people here kind of help code Rob's methodologies into MetaStock and Steve's and Barry Burns. It was funny, I was going through the speaker list, very looking at all the people I knew and respected and loved. So I'm glad you guys are here. We've got a big crowd today. If you guys have questions, I'm going to make sure the chat's open, and I'm going to go ahead and do my best to kind of see them when they come in. So with that being said, let me go ahead and go over to this page. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading, and MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide here. And I do want to talk a little bit about MetaStock. I'm trying to figure out where this chat window is. Okay, got it. Good. I promised I'd take a look for chats. I just couldn't find them for a second, so I can see them now. Like I said, I started 23 years ago, and it'll be 24, I believe, in March, but I better go look and do the math on there. I'm very happy with working here. The software that we developed is great. It's a company, we've been in business since 1982. And yes, I did have to look. When I started, we were owned by Reuters, and then it turned into Thomson Reuters. Now they're Refinitiv, and we're no longer associated, well, we're no longer owned by Reuters or Refinitiv. We actually bought ourselves back, but we offer all of the information that they have. If you're not familiar with Reuters, or they now go by the name of Refinitiv, they cover about 200 global exchanges. They've got some of the best news that's available in the marketplace, with thousands of reporters across hundreds of different news bureaus, and we do a lot of really good work with them. We did buy ourselves back from Reuters about 2013, so that'll be 7 years this year, and it was a good move, but we've kept a good partnership with Reuters. One of the things I do like to tell people when we start to talk about MetaStock is now this year, one of the things that we've been rated the best software in our price category for now 27 years in a row, which I just think is incredible. And yes, I'm turning off notifications on my phone so that doesn't keep happening. 27 years in a row, so longer than I've been here by a couple of years. We've been rated #1, and it's a huge software program. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I really like in it today, but it's been rated #1 because it does full market scanning. It can go in and decide on kind of the best patterns or the best stocks in any particular market, and we'll play a little bit with that today. It has one of the best system testers I've seen in the market, the ability to test trading ideas and see how they work. We have a patented forecaster module, which is designed, and I'm actually going to show this today because I like it so much, but it's designed to show you kind of what it expects in the market based on what's happened in the past. It'll give you, and I'm going to show you these today as well, real-time buy and sell signals and plain English commentary. So, and I'm going to be showing off quite a bit of that as we get going today as well. I'm going to be mindful of the time and make sure that we don't go over, because I have to kind of keep an eye on it when I start talking about things. So today I do plan on getting really specific about what I want to show you. I'm going to show you our patented forecaster program, and I'm going to show you one of my most successful projects that we've done at MetaStock, and that's a project. We did it with Steve Bigalow. So I'm going to try and kind of keep it really, really tight today. I could talk and have talked for MetaStock for 8 hours, 10 hours at a time. I don't have that kind of time. So today I think we'll just kind of focus on the patented forecaster that we've got and a project that I've been really proud of, the Steve Bigalow candle profit systems. If you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go. I'll do my best to answer. The first question that I have for you is I want somebody to give me a signal or a symbol, a stock or a future or something that we can look at with the forecaster. Because right now I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint program and I'm going to get into the forecaster and we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. And we already have one, TGT. Okay, there's a lot coming in. Holy cow. We're going to go with that first one, TGT. And then if we have a minute for a few other ones, we'll take a look. So let's go ahead and kind of switch over to MetaStock. Thank you for the audience participation. That was pretty incredible. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and open up what we call a forecaster chart. So this is separate from our MetaStock charting engine that does like all the buy and sell analytics. This one was custom built for forecasting. And so what I'm going to do is in MetaStock, we've got all of the power tools here for us. So here's the chart. Here's where we can put together an options or a quote list. Or here's where we can do a scan. We're going to do scans in a minute. Here's where you can test trading ideas and see how well they work and what stocks they work against. What I'm going to come down here is I'm going to come down here and we're going to click into the forecaster. And the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and just make sure we have the right symbol for TGT, which is just TGT. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. You will notice right here that we cover about, well, I'm going to point it out, but we cover 300,978 instruments. So I don't care. There's a couple thousand people here. I don't care if you're in India, interested in India stocks. I don't care if you're in London, looking at London stocks. If you're on Australia, it doesn't matter. Because of our partnership with Reuters, you're going to be able to pull just about any instrument on earth. We don't cover the Jamaican Stock Exchange. That's the only it's the only exchange in 23 years we haven't been able to cover through Reuters or through Refinitiv. So right here, we'll go ahead and pull up Target Ordinary. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And I'm just going to start basically a forecaster chart. And it's going to open up a little bit of a different charting mechanism. And while it does that, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about kind of the way that you can understand what we're doing with a forecast chart. Okay, if you're familiar with the idea or the concept of system testing, this might be a familiar kind of way to talk about it. With system testing, you wait for something to happen and then you buy. Okay, and then you wait till you get to your profit target and then you sell. Or you wait for something else to happen and then you sell. And so by using system testing, which we do a really good job of in MetaStock, you can kind of get an idea of how well a stock would work if you're trading it with like any type of a technical system. And forecasting is very, very similar, but instead of like saying what would happen if I bought when this happened and I sold when this happened, what we're trying to determine using a bit of a statistical model is what is likely to happen after your buy signal or after your event. And that event can be anything of a couple hundred things. So in fact, I'll give you kind of an idea here. I'm going to just click on this recognizer library, and we'll just go kind of through a few of the things. So the first forecast pattern that's recognizable is the 5 bars up and down, 52-week highs, Bollinger breakouts, candlestick patterns being up or above the symbols, the CCI being overbought or oversold. And we can hand-drawn patterns in here. There's a lot of stuff to this. I just want to kind of give you an idea of how it works, but it kind of gives you an idea. Unlike system testing, though, what we're looking to do is we're looking to say, okay, well, is there a statistical link to maybe it going up 5 days in a row and the price performance afterwards? So, and let me kind of show you a little bit what that means. I'm going to go back over to our forecast analysis screen. And what I've got here is I'm going to just basically sort this list of patterns to the most recent events that have happened. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And you'll notice right here, we have something that happened today. Our RSI went into an oversold status today. Okay. The next most recent thing is stochastic divergence, positive, candlestick falling window. And so these are different events, okay? And when I click on different events, what you'll have is you'll have a bit, your chart up here is going to change. So right now I'm looking at the RSI oversold. Right, this arrow just signifies that that was when that happened on a chart. And all of the arrows, whether they're above or below, signify when that happens on a chart. Okay, and that's really just telling you, okay, right now the stochastic is oversold. Okay, and it's as simple as that. Now, to give you an idea of what we kind of look at or what we kind of try and figure out is we want to, with the forecaster, what we try and figure out is how indicative of that is price movement going forward. So, for example, if we have an RSI oversold, are we expecting an up move, a down move, a sideways move, and how many days is that going to happen? And we do accomplish quite a bit of math when we're doing the forecaster. We look at a lot of statistics with that, as you can kind of see in the statistical report, but we look at a lot of other things in terms of timing, which I do have a white paper. If you're interested, I can send it to you. It was written by one of our programmers that goes into a little bit of the nuance of the math that he uses to kind of look at this, and some of the math that goes into the patented nature of this. Okay, so but to give you kind of a rough idea, right here it says the event occurs 7 times between January 21st and 20th. Okay, first happens here. On average, it happens every 183 days. The shortest gap between events is 7. The longest gap is 414 days. But to kind of give you an idea of the statistics that it's using, statistically, 7 bars after this occurs 95% of the time, or with a probability of 95%, the closing appears to be about 2.2%, 2.25% lower. Okay, here's your standard deviation. 14 bars over, about 55% of the time, 95% of the time, it's 2.35% higher. And then it goes 30 and 60 and 90. The idea here is it's looking at quite a bit of math to kind of determine what is a statistical outcome for this. Okay, the product of that statistical analysis or that statistical math is what we call a forecast cloud. And I'm going to show you that. So if I click on the forecast cloud right here, what you're going to see is what we call a forecast cloud. It's basically a probability map. Okay, so if we look here, you can see kind of here's a 0% level. Okay, and down here on the y-axis, you have days after the event. So this is 1 bar after the event. This is 7 bars after the event. This is 14, and this is 30 bars after the event. Okay, right here you'll see a little bit of a 2%, 4%, 6%, up to 10%, and down to minus 14%. Okay. Over here, you'll see a little bit of a thermometer. So right here, if you're looking at a black area of the chart right here, there's a very low probability, less than 30%, that it's going to be in this area. Okay. If you're looking at somewhat of a lighter area, and the lightest I have on this particular chart is 1 day after the event right here, you'll notice that that corresponds to a roughly about 80% to about 90% probability that it's going to be between 0% change tomorrow and 2% higher. Okay, and you'll notice it kind of gives you a grading that way. As you get into the lower probabilities, you're going to have more of a blue probability or a blue cloud. Okay, and this is based on an RSI oversold condition. Okay, if I wanted to look at the stochastics being overbought or the stochastic positive divergence, you'll see that based on that math, there's a bit more of a statistical probability that they can measure. In other words, we have this yellow area, which is a 95% probability plus. Okay, I can come back over here to the price and volume, and you'll notice that I can actually kind of click on any of these event markers. And what it's going to do is it's going to put that probability map on the chart for us. So for me, this is a tool I use in MetaStock all the time. I use it primarily as a confirmation tool. So if I have an idea that I wanted to buy target, I'll come in here and see what the projection or the oscillations look like. But that's kind of what I wanted to show you to kind of just give you an idea of one of the tools in MetaStock. So it looks like an ultrasound. Kind of. Some of the patterns definitely do look a little bit like an ultrasound. So that's what I wanted to show you with the forecaster. It's a tool that's very, very unique to MetaStock. You're not going to see... yes, no, I understood. the cloud looks like an ultrasound, Josh said. So yeah, I agree with you actually. So that's what I wanted to show you with that. And I think that what I wanted to do is I want to talk about some of the project that I had worked on and show you some of the other tools. But I wanted to show you the forecaster first. So Dan asked another good question. Does your forecaster also work with futures? Yeah. So as long as it's one of the 300,978 issues that we cover, you can use it with stocks or futures or anything you want. And absolutely, you can pull in a futures chart in there. So thank you for that question, Dan. We'll look at some of the other symbols that you have as well when we start to talk about kind of one of my favorite projects. So let me go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint real quick. Okay. And that was just an overview, just a quick, dirty look at the forecaster. And again, it's just a small part of MetaStock. We could show you the system tester, the scanner. We're going to show you the scanner. What I want to talk to you a little bit about is one of my best projects that I've ever developed. So when I started today, I talked about, the fact I had worked with MetaStock here for, it'll be 23 years. I think I'll start 24 years in March. Actually April, because my anniversary date's the 31st. Too much information, right? But in the first 10 years, what I did was I worked with inside sales. So if you had questions about like MetaStock and if you could test an idea or if you could scan, a good chance is that you'd actually be talking to me and I'd be talking to you a little bit about what your trading was looking like and how you were looking to improve. And that was a really, really fun job. I did it for almost a decade and I loved it. And I did very, very good job with it. Mostly because I think the fact that the software has won 27 years in a row makes it a very representable product. People were looking to make better trading decisions, and that's really what we do here. And as long as you could talk to them a little bit about how we could improve what they were doing, it was very, very easy. And I loved representing MetaStock. I love representing MetaStock still. It's a great company to work for. So, but in any case, for the next 10 years or so, I've been working in business development. And I guess we break it down by decades because right now I'm the director of sales, and that means I'm in charge of the sales guys. But for about a decade, what we would do is I would work with people like Rob Hoffman. We have a great add-on with Rob Hoffman. Barry Burns, who's coming up. Jeff Tompkins, who did a little bit of a discussion earlier. And one of my favorite such methodologies is Steve Bigalow. And I want to talk a lot about Steve today and kind of the methodologies we put together with him for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like Steve has been a great mentor to me over the last several years. And two, we actually have some training classes that are coming up with him that I'm going to be there. And I'm going to be taking some notes for. And I just think they're going to be amazing. I wanted to talk a little bit about Steve today because we have his classes coming up. So Steve and I worked together for probably about, we've worked together for about a decade. And we created and took all of his candle profit, what he calls his candle profit systems, and we put them into an add-on for MetaStock. And so here's a picture of that box. This is what we call the Candle Profit Systems 2.0. That means we've had two versions of it. And it's a product I'm very, very proud of. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why. I'm going to cheat with my notes a little bit. Number one, we initially released this about probably like 7-8 years ago. I sent a copy over to Dennis Peterson, the late Dennis Peterson. He did reviews for Stocks and Commodities magazine. I had him look at it. He did a review. He loved it. He gave it a very, very good review. A few years ago, we put together version 2 of this. And we sent it over at that point. It was Barbara Starr that was doing the reviews for us with Stocks and Commodities magazine. And she absolutely loved it. She gave it another glowing review. This product has been rated one of the best products available for not just like MetaStock by Stocks and Commodities, but for any product that's available. And it has been one of our most successful add-ons that we've ever had. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm proud of it. We've certainly put a lot of work into it. The other thing is, so I had the privilege of traveling a lot with Steve Bigalow and learning kind of the methodologies that he uses. And so as a result, I understand a lot of the way he trades and kind of the candle patterns that he uses. And we did a really, really good job of putting together a product that people can use. So I can go in and kind of show system tests and tools and stuff like that. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show CPS at the same time I show you some of the things MetaStock is capable of. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is actually give me a couple of charts. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in and actually look at charts with the CPS. So go ahead. Tesla. Okay, you got it. TSLA. WRK. WRK. Uber. And QQQ. We're going to stop there. Okay, we just don't have that much time, but I kind of want to give you an idea. I can easily go in and kind of pick some charts that look really, really, really good, right? I don't want to do that. I want you to kind of get an idea of how well this works or doesn't work on the stocks you're interested in. So let's go ahead and do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up a few charts here. We're going to start with TSLA. Oh, TSLA. Tato. Okay. We're going to do WRK. And I'm not sure if there's let me just do it this way real quick. No, I don't need a symbol for that or an extension for that. Let's check Uber. Okay. Uber is uber.k, so we do need to put an extension on there. I actually accidentally put in the wrong country. And let's go ahead and do the QQQ as well. Okay, I'm going to open up all 1, 2, 3, 4 charts. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply what we call a template. That's just a collection of what we call like an expert advisor with the indicators and all of the symbols. So let's go ahead and open up these charts. Okay, and looks like I got a slightly different one. Oh, am I not going to have? Okay. Okay, well, we did get a few charts here, but let's go ahead and kind of go through these one at a time. So right here, this is West Rock. Let's see what else we actually pulled. There was, I wonder if we had a little bit, we have Tesla, and we have the Dow Industrials. So let me go ahead and look at Tesla real quick, and we'll just kind of take a look at kind of how it's done in the past. So with Steve's methodologies, basically what you're going to get is anything that's on this list that we have here for the multiple day patterns, any of these patterns of Steve's are going to show up automatically on the chart. And that's what you're kind of seeing here. So right here we had just recently a J hook into this move up. Okay, right here you had a bit of a bull kicker. A doji sandwich, a bull kicker, a doji sandwich. Here you had a bearish doji sandwich. Here you had a doji at the top. And out of all of the signals that show up on the chart, this one was okay. This one was probably crappy. The rest of them look pretty good. Okay. So I want you to kind of get an idea of how well it does, right? So if we're looking at just these 6 signals, several signals, I'd say this one was pretty good. This one was good. This one was good. This one was good. This one was good. This was okay, depending on as long as you got out above the T line. This one was probably a losing trade. So the batting average looks good, pretty good so far. These are automatically drawn on here for you, so we know that this was a J hook because it says it was a J hook. Okay, and then the other thing, all of his averages are on here. His stochastics are on there. All that kind of stuff exists. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the expert commentary here. The expert commentary is a function that we call in MetaStock that basically helps explain what's going on a chart. So when I opened up this expert commentary, what you're going to see is you're just going to see a little bit of an arrow that points to the very last day. Okay. If I wanted, since there's nothing that's going on that particular day, it just talks a lot about Steve Bigalow and what Steve has been doing and kind of like what his recommendations are. Okay. If I want to go back and kind of see maybe something, what a doji sandwich is, for example, I'm just going to move this black arrow over to the doji sandwich here on the chart. And it's then going to, instead of telling me what a bull kicker is, it's going to tell me what a doji sandwich is. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit more legible for you, or readable. I'm going to make it larger. And right here it says the doji sandwich is a result of the consistent aspects of human nature. It provides an extremely high probability result. The Doji sandwich usually occurs after the initial reversal signal has been identified. The Doji sandwich indicates a potential upside. Traders looking to take advantage of this trade should look to target the resistance. Okay, so right there, it's just giving us an idea of what a Doji sandwich is. If I wanted to know what this bull kicker is, I can just highlight on the bull kicker. It's going to tell us exactly what that bullish kicker is. If it has enhancements on here, because a lot of the ways I find patterns using Steve's methodologies, I'll get a list of patterns. I'm going to show you how that works in MetaStock as well. But what I want to be able to do is figure out, okay, well, out of these bullish kickers, or out of these Doji at the tops, or out of these Doji best friends, how do I determine which one is better? And so the enhancements, what that's actually going to tell you is which one's better. So with a bullish kicker, if the kicker signal forms at a major support level, it's more powerful. If it's a bigger and darker candle at the bottom, the more powerful it is. So it kind of gives you an idea of how to gauge these against each other. So Mike says, there's a few questions. Sam says, kindly ignore what I typed above. I can't see what you typed above. Ignored. So Dave Keating says, does it work for Canadian ETFs like XIT? Absolutely. As long as it's one of the 300,000 instruments that Reuters covers, you're good. Okay. Mike says, are you using the same stochastic settings that Bigelow uses? We basically copied his work. Yeah, absolutely. So we're using the same stochastic settings that he uses. We're also looking for the same exact same patterns that he's using as well. So hopefully that works. And I think just see symbols above that. So hopefully I didn't miss any other questions. That's as far as I'm going up in the list. If you have more questions and I missed them, please feel free to ask. So that's kind of a look at Tesla. Okay, and we're doing really good on time here. So let me go ahead and minimize this chart right here. And let's take a little bit of look at WestRock. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen instead. And we'll kind of get an idea of, okay, so I'd say right away, there's a pattern that didn't work. You had your slow curve here. And then you can kind of get an idea. This Doji best friend is one of my favorite patterns. It worked really good. This dumpling top worked good. This Doji best friend, this Doji at the top. But you kind of get the idea here. It doesn't always work. You want to make sure you're trading by following the instructions. But the patterns that he's using, combined with the indicators that he uses, actually have a pretty good batting average. Okay, and since it is one of my favorite patterns right here, let's take a look at this Doji best friend. Doji, basically, the way Steve talks about this, I have a little bit. I just got to get a little water. Getting a little dried up. Okay. All right, so the way that Steve talks about the Doji best friend is basically a Doji. If you're familiar with candlestick methodology, I'm going to get really close into this chart right here. A Doji is basically a bar where you have a very small body, where the open and close are almost the same, and the high and low. Basically, it's just a Doji bar. Okay, and what is a Doji? In classic candlestick analysis, a Doji is an indecisive bar, right? So basically, it just means that there was no settlement. The bulls aren't winning that day. The bears aren't winning that day. It's indecision. And I love the way Steve looks at this, because what he wants to trade is he doesn't want to trade the indecision. He doesn't want to trade that battle. He wants to trade the decision. So after a Doji, a gap up would be what he calls a Doji best friend, which is one of my favorite patterns in technical analysis. And so if we're looking at that particular one, it's basically going to be traders should be alert for this opportunity to get into a new long position. A gap up after a Doji or spinning top formation while prices are in the oversold area is preferred. This is an excellent alert. Expect the strength of the upward trend to be greater if the last bar closed above the 8 exponential moving average, or what he calls a T-line. So you get the explanation of what's happening, you get the enhancements, and you're off to the races. This is one of the best patterns to actually scan for. So let me scroll out a little bit more here. I'd say that with regards to the charts that we looked at, Westmark's a little bit more choppy, but I'd also say that the signals that we're getting off of this are actually pretty good. We have a couple questions. Dan says, can we design new custom events in the forecaster? You can actually, that's a really good question, Dan. You can actually, you can't actually use our formula language in the forecaster yet. We are working on actively adding a new forecaster language or a new formula language to the forecaster. But one of the things that you can do in the forecaster is you can actually go in and hand draw events. So if you want to look for a W bottom, you can go in there and just draw a W bottom. If you want a triple top, you can just draw it by hand. So you can absolutely design new events, but it's with kind of a mouse tool. Or you can use actually the chart. So if you wanted to design something like a J hook pattern, you might just go in there and draw a J. So that's a really, really good question. I appreciate that. Adjust says, does this software tell you both entry and exit? So it depends. With this particular one that we're looking at here, Adjust, it's really more advising you to the entry conditions. With the stuff that Steve looks at, he's looking for specific exit conditions, like for the cross, for it to close above the 8 exponential moving average. We're actually going to be starting some training classes where Steve actually talks quite a bit about how to exit his trades, and I'm really looking forward to those classes. Paul says, can I back test the Doji best friend setups? You can. You'd actually want to go in and put in a stop loss. So, but yeah, you can test anything that you want. Sean, welcome. I'm sorry you're late too, but I'm glad you made it. Okay. Can you take a look at DCO, which, sure. Abdul asks another question. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. What is your advice for beginners to understand the candlestick learning? This is a really good way to understand Steve's patterns. There's another, what we call an expert advisor in MetaStock, that's actually called the Candlesticks by MetaStock Expert Advisor. They'll actually explain to you, instead of the multiple day patterns that Steve uses, it'll explain to you the single day patterns that are very popular and were popularized by Steve Neeson. So that one's called Candlesticks by MetaStock, and it's a good way to learn about kind of those single day patterns. Okay, hope that works. You wanted to look at DCO. Okay, sure. I'm just going to, we're going to go into scanning in a second. So this is docommon.org. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up. Okay. Okay. I did not apply the right template to this. This is not the machine I usually use, so I want to apply the Steve studies here. So we'll go ahead and apply that. That's going to apply his indicators, his expert advisor to the chart. I don't see any pattern that we're recognizing right now. This might be getting close to like a J hook, but we're not seeing it in the software. We did just recently have this bear kicker followed by this flutter kicker that kind of kicked you into this downtrend. So Angela says, does this work on a 5-minute chart? Yeah, as long as you do. Did we skip the QQQ? No, I'm going to go back to the QQQ. Let's do that. So going back to the QQQ, and then I'm going to show you how these things scan. We're doing pretty good on time. Any reason why the Uber chart didn't load? We'll load Uber. I think we have enough time to look at some of these charts as well. So where did QQQ go? Okay. Let's just go ahead. Oh, I don't want to start with this one. Let me close this one. We'll go from this DIA chart. And there's a setting that I want to change. There's a setting in here that allows me to use the same studies. So I'm just going to make that selection real quick. Let's jump to QQQ.O. And then we'll also look at Uber as well. So here's QQQ. We don't have any patterns happening really recently. You're welcome, Hugh. Oh, you're welcome. If I have time, I'm happy to look at charts all day long with you guys. So right here, we don't have any patterns that have happened recently. Like we're kind of getting a little bit long in the tooth, but we just had this fry pan in an uptrend right before this huge move up. We had a bull kicker here. We had a cradle here. We had a left-right bearish combo. You had a bobble pattern here. I'd say, again, it's doing a really good job. Look at this fry pan. If you're still long on this fry pan, just waiting for it to close below this, what he calls the T line, you'd be really, really fine with this. same with like, and that's what he does use. So one of the exit methodologies Steve uses with this, and I try and be hesitant to, and I talk about how Steve trades it, but one of the exit methodologies, because Steve teaches that way better than I do. Right here, what you've got is you've got an 8 exponential moving average. So if we're in this trade, we'd be looking for a close under this exponential moving average to get out. It hasn't happened yet. Okay. Jay says, is that a doji at the top? This is a doji. Make no mistake about it. This is kind of like maybe like this is a doji. A doji at the top would be almost the opposite of a doji best friend. Okay. So a doji, that would be a doji followed by a gap down. If this thing were to open up right around, if this thing were to gap down tomorrow, that would give us a doji at the top. Okay. Dan says, another good question, will it send a text or an audible alert when an event is triggered? Okay, so you can have it play a sound with the expert advisor. You can have it email an alert as well. It won't text you, but you can have it email your smartphone. You just have to go set that up in the properties. And then you can also have it play God Save the Queen on your computer if you want. How about stochastics at 95? How about them? they are getting a little bit 96. They're a little bit in the overbought or overbought condition, so that should go. But we don't have a pattern even on that. If we had a doji tomorrow, if we had a gap down tomorrow, we'd have our doji at the top in a overbought condition, and at that point you'd want to start to pay attention to it. Okay, all right. I'm just telling you what the chart says. Okay. Sir, can you give or show a PDF based on all doji what it signals? I don't have that prepared in a PDF to show you all the different market conditions, but I'm sorry, I just don't have that ready to send to you right now. I can give you a list of all the ones that we kind of do, and here's the way that we break them down. So we've got price patterns, doji dynamite, power signals, we've got the J hook, and then all in all, there's about about 30 patterns on this list. And then we have all of the single day patterns that Steve calls important as well. Okay. If I have a master list of stocks and futures, will it send me alerts without me looking at it? Is that your scanner? Let me show you how the scanners work. The scanning is absolutely the way that I want to kind of, I love MetaStock for the ability to go in and take a list of stocks. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I'm glad you asked that. Exactly where I was going to go with it. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Power Console. If we had charts open and it gave us an alert, we could get an alert without you looking at it. Okay. The other question that I get a lot, and one of the things that I want to look at quite a bit, is I want to be able to say, okay, well, there's 4,300 optionable stocks or so that are out there. Okay. Out of those, I want to be able to see the ones that are over $5 and have a minimum volume of about 200,000. So what I've done in this version of MetaStock is I've actually set up a scan to filter out everything that doesn't trade above $5 or have that minimum. And so instead of scanning the whole optionable list, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan for the pre-filtered list of 2488. We'll just go through a quicker list. Okay. Up here, what I've got is the different scans that I can run. So right here, this is your Doji Dynamites. You've got your J-hook patterns. You've got your major patterns. And I told you one of the patterns I'd love to scan for is that Doji at the top, or the Doji best friend, which is this top scan. There's about 6 or 7 scans, plus you've got your universe ones that we wrote so that you can kind of go in and look at stocks that are above $5. Okay. If I want to do a scan of the Doji Dynamite pattern, I'm just going to select that particular scan, and I'm going to have it run on the pre-filtered list. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it run against 2,488 optionable securities, the ones that I've already weeded through. Okay, so I'm going to have it run that exploration, and it's going to go through them. You'll notice how fast it's chunking through. It's going to look at 3,000, almost 2,500 instruments, 2,488. And that quickly it's going to be able to kind of identify the ones that we're interested in. And you'll notice it's weeding out 99.2% of the stocks. So that means out of the thousands of stocks, I'm only going to get like the ones that are actionable, the ones that I want to look at, right? So if I'm looking at, here you've got your Doji at the top, here you've got your Doji best friend, here you've got your left-right bullish, your left-right bearish, your series of bullish, your series of bearish. If I just want to see the Doji best friend, I can just click right here on this column. And out of those 2,400 stocks, the only one that today had an opportunity as a Doji best friend was this iShares ETF of Latin America. Okay, if I wanted to find a Doji at the top, we had quite a few ETFs that had a Doji at the top. Vanguard, Treasury bonds, aggregate bonds, Treasury bonds. And so you get an idea of, this allows us some really, really good feedback in terms of what we're looking for, but it also allows us to kind of ignore what isn't actionable. You know, as a trader, what I want to be able to do is, you know, there's thousands, Price Headley used to say this all the time, there's thousands of stocks you can trade. What I want to get in the habit of is skipping over the stocks that have little or no opportunity to focus on the ones that have big opportunities. And I love that about the scanner, the ability to focus on the top 0.8% of the stocks and the ones that have opportunities does a really, really good job. You're welcome. I'm glad I could answer your stocks. So Dan, hopefully that answered your question on the master list of stocks. Option Scope, I can talk a little bit about. Option Scope is a new tool. Thank you for asking too, Jurgen, or John. Option Scope is a product that we kind of put together. You can go in there and it'll list the puts, the calls. It'll tell you what all the Greeks are. You can go in and filter out all of the things. It's a really, really cool tool. I'm afraid to open it up because I'm looking at the time and I don't think I have time. But we do have information. If you get in touch with us, we can send you like videos we've done on Option Scope. It's very, very easy to do. Jurgen, you ask a question I love. Is it possible to define my own patterns or my own chart patterns? Absolutely. So we do have our own built-in formula language. You can go in and you can write anything you want. If you want to create your own scan, if you want to create your own expert, if you want to create your own system test, anything you want, you can create in MetaStock and you can test. And it's literally one of the reasons we've been rated so well. One of the other things that I like is if you want us to create something for you, as long as you can define it well, we'll create it for you for about $35. So we'll make it for you, or you can make it in the language. And $35 to hire a programmer is pretty cheap. So what is the Doji best friend setup for January 21st? Well, the only one, so I would say that it has to be best. The only one that we found on that scan was, and so it would be by definition best, but the only one we found on that scan was this iShares Latin America 40 ETF. I wouldn't say that makes it good. It just makes it the best based on the fact that it was the only one. Okay. Does MetaStock do Rob Hoffman's IRBs and reverse IRBs? Yes, we do. In fact, we do a really, really good implementation of Rob's stuff. And Rob, I would consider a mentor as well. So just a quick question in the options. After we apply the candlestick systems, can I calculate probabilities? I think that's a little bit more in depth. I think I need to talk to you a little bit about what you're meaning there, Hugh. I don't understand the question. Get in touch with me. And you can email me, jeffrey.gibby@metastock.com. Be happy to answer that question. I think I need to get a little bit more information from you to kind of get there. Okay? All right. Let's talk a little bit about why I decided to do CPS. I am extremely proud of this system. We did. It's been highly rated for both the readers and the editors over at Stocks and Commodities. It's been insanely successful. I looked at we've sold a crazy amount of these things, and people love Steve. And I think one of the things I love about Steve is the fact that I've had the chance to like sit down with him and kind of go through his methodologies and understand them and really travel and see. People just love Steve. He's a great expert. Like I said, he's a bit of a guru to me. But the reason I wanted to really talk about Bigelow is we're actually starting a series of training classes with him. He's going to do 3, and they're going to start on Wednesday, where he's going to go in and he's going to talk about his candle patterns. He's going to talk about how to find the best big breakouts. He's going to talk about his favorite top rank signals. And I'm actually going to do a class as well, but it's more going to be about here's how you run MetaStock, here's how you run your scans, that kind of stuff. What I'm really excited about is the fact that we're going to sit down with Steve for 3 hours and go through very, very specifically what he wants to trade. I'm going to go, and just to kind of give you, I'm going to go and I'm going to be actually taking notes over here on this stuff. I love Steve. I've learned so much from Steve. He's been so valuable to me, both on a professional level with CPS, but like the methods that he actually uses are the ones that I use to trade as well. So I'm really, really excited about these training classes. And what we're going to offer as part of it is it's 3 hours of classes and a bonus class again with me. We're going to put together a special package where you can get the Candle Profit Systems 2.0, which normally retails for, I think it's $4.99 on our website. We're going to give you Steve Bigelow's training, those 4 sets of classes that I just showed you on the other side. Those are going to retail for about $6.99. We're going to give you a free month of MetaStock. Again, MetaStock has been the highest rated software in its price category for 27 years in a row. I mean, think about that. I was telling one of our new sales guys, because again, I'm in charge of the sales guys, and he's like, that's longer than I've been alive. Since 1993, every single year since then, it's been rated #1. So we're going to give you the best software program, the rated #1 in its price category. We're going to give you our news feed that we get from Refinitiv. And to give you an idea, Refinitiv spent about $1 billion creating it. They back it with over 300 news bureaus and some ridiculous amount of reporters. All real-time news, the same type of stuff that you'd be subscribing to if you're a bank, okay? We're going to give you Unleash the Power of MetaStock. It's a training disc that's going to show you everything. We're going to give you unlimited technical support from our Utah-based sales staff. We're going to give you a person to help you call. They'll set up an appointment with you. They will one-on-one work with you for an hour to make sure that you've got everything installed, you understand how everything operates. We call it our one-on-one white glove service. So normally, like all of that, we don't charge a lot. Normally all of that would cost you $1,198. What we're doing as a Wealth 365 bonus, $698. Okay, that'll get you the training, the software, the best add-on for the best software, the news. Try it out. You can give us a call. It's 800-882-3040 or metastock.com/sales-chat. You can also visit online at metastock.com/wealthsb. So wealthsb is the metastock.com/wealthsb. I'm sure Marissa, because she's doing an awesome job, like everybody is saying, is typing that right now into the thing. Okay. Let's get to some questions. Actually, maybe she's not, but I can type it in real quick here. Let's see. metastock.com/wealthsb. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's already in there. Okay. Dan says, do we have to subscribe to data feed separately? This includes it. After the first month free, it's anywhere between $59 and $250, depending on what you get. So give us a call. We'll help you figure out exactly what that is going to cost. So who do you clear through? We're not a broker. You can clear through whoever you want. Trader RK says, not interested in boring, expensive. Next speaker, please. Thanks for your feedback. Carol says, is it a lifetime license for MetaStock? No, it's not. Again, some more questions on the monthly MetaStock. After your first month, it can be as low as $69 per month. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, so give us a call. I do appreciate all the interest you have. Thanks for that. Is this offer good for the week or today only? We start the training Wednesday, so do it by then. I'm not going to put a big thing on you. Lars says, hi, Jeff, and good night. Good night. Thanks for coming, Lars. Richard says, I have an old version of MetaStock. Thank you for that, Richard. Is it possible to upgrade? Absolutely. We do. Just give us a call. 800-882-3040. We'll go. The upgrades are cheap. If you had a version from years ago, thank you for that. I probably sold it to you back in the day. Welcome back. Let's get you going. 800-882-3040. Sabrina says, so mean. Jeez. I agree. I just was reading it out loud so I could get the sympathy points. So, Steve says, great stuff. Okay. Hugh says, not boring, very informative. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I appreciate everybody here. I was told to quit at 55 minutes too. And I want to say that I quit at 55 minutes too. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing okay, buddy. I was just, laying low there. Want to make sure that you were well taken care of, but that I didn't wind up in a foreign country's, detention system again for you.
I think you had to tell that story now. People are going to be like, "What?
So
what were they
went
doing
to
in
go
India?"
Speak for MetaStock, and they had this thing called Visa on Demand, and it was overseas in India. And so everybody thought, well, when we get there, we'll get a visa on demand. And of course, that's not how a visa on demand works. So I showed up in the country, and they asked where my visa was, and it's like, well, I'm here to get it on demand. That's what the guys at MetaStock told me to do. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, see a detention cell over there? Yeah, you got to wait until we get you a flight out later this evening to your next destination, which was Hong Kong. So I went and did the talk for India from Hong Kong. So good stuff. I love MetaStock, and this is a great way to
We love you too, Rob.
And get involved with MetaStock there for sure. So, Jeff, thanks for going ahead and doing a great presentation. Look at the huge crowd that you still have here this evening, and so that is wonderful. And what we're going to do is we'll turn it. Unless you have anything else you'd like to add, Jeff, we can turn it over to Marissa, and she'll give away some prizes, and then we'll keep things moving. So, thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having us, Rob. We appreciate it,
buddy.
All right,
Absolutely.
thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. And Marissa made sure she got that done.